All right. Hi, everybody. Thanks for having me. I very much appreciate it. I'm here to talk about volunteer opportunities through the Prince Edward Island Watershed Alliance. And my name is Heather Lasconis. So who we are basically a support or an umbrella organization that supports 24 watershed groups across the island. And our overall goal of the PEI Watershed Alliance is to improve and enhance environmental quality of Prince Edward Island watersheds for the benefit of all residents. And let me just, here we go. And then for those of you who are not familiar with what a watershed is, I found this graphic online that gives a pretty good representation of what we mean when we talk about a watershed. And if you think of it as like a bowl, on land, it's everything that goes into that bowl. So anything that rains falls in there. But what is a watershed? It's water, animals, trees, fungi, grass, insects, people, infrastructure, like bridges and things like that are part of your watershed because they affect how water reacts with the environment and how fast it gets into the aquifer, which is the groundwater. So that is what we drink here in Prince Edward Island. So we are one of the only provinces that uses groundwater. So it's very, very important how these things get into the watershed and how healthy the water is when it gets down into the aquifer, because that's the water we are drinking. Let's see here. There we go. And if you go to our website, PEIWatershedAlliance.org, you can see a map of all our different watersheds. So they're highlighted. And some, let's see here if we can get my mouse here. So some of these watersheds, if you can see here, like in the South Shore, that is one area that one group manages, but in this particular area, there happen to be 5 different watersheds, and it varies across the island. And if you go to the website and you want to know which watershed your home is, or your school is, or where you work in, you just have to click on it and on our webpage, and it'll tell you, for example, if you live in Cornwall, you highlight it, find out it's called Cornwall and Area Watershed Group. So pretty simple to find out who takes care of your watershed, where you live on the island. And let me talk about what we do. So we help our groups, but they're the ones what we call the boots on the ground. So they do the monitoring. So we have like salmon. Salmon are endangered. Atlantic salmon are endangered here, and so we have monitoring protocols and special streams. We have about 27 streams with salmon in them and 7 different watersheds. But historically, all the streams on Prince Edward Island had Atlantic salmon. So we're trying to keep the streams healthy for them and monitor their populations to see where we could maybe enhance their areas and make it a little bit better for them. Another monitoring program we have is for bats. So we have a bunch of watershed groups across the island that set up acoustic monitors to some of them will put monitors in their car and drive around at night. And here we have a hibernacula in the top right, which one of our watershed groups found an abandoned well, and they found that the bats were nesting in there. So they put this safety cover to keep humans out. And so we could keep our bats safe, because those are also another endangered species here that we have here, our endangered mammal we have here on the island. And we have 3 different bats that we know of with resident populations, and they're all in decline because of something called smutty nose. And then recently, as I want to say about 5 or 6 years ago, they first started spotting river otters. So this is another thing that we monitor for. And we're going to be starting this program this summer. So you're going to be seeing some wildlife cameras up and around different areas of Prince Edward Island. And we're going to be looking for river otters, because they were extirpated probably, which means that they used to be here, and then due to human activities are no longer on the island. So it's great to see them back, but they were probably extirpated in the 1700s or 1800s. And so what watershed groups do, they have about 60 field days, June 1st until the end of the season. Staff leaves at the end of August. We have lots of students. We hire students and we take volunteers. Here's a group of students that are actually monitoring fish populations. So this is after electrofishing. You can see a measuring board where they pick up the fish and measure them. They also do special projects like large construction. They work on coastal erosion and do a lot of restoration projects. Sometimes they have invasive species areas where they'll set a few days and use a lot of community volunteers to set invasive species removal. For those of you who are into chemistry, we have water quality monitoring where we measure dissolved oxygen, nitrates, and other properties of the water, temperature as well. We do a lot of fish passage stream cleaning. So we clean our streams, which means we don't take everything out of our streams, but we do try to make it the right environment for our fish because we want them to be able to come in from the oceans and up to their natal streams, which is where they spawn. And finally, we do a lot of education and outreach. So our groups will go do a lot of different events, go swim, do host swims, or go to your school and talk to different groups and different organizations about what they do. We do a lot of planting too. So we elicit a lot of volunteers for planting in the spring and the summer, or excuse me, the spring and the fall. And we plant 14 species of conifers, 11 species of deciduous trees, and at least 15 native shrubs. So it's very important that we get those plants in the ground, and it's usually more hands the better. So we're always looking for volunteers for planting days. And currently we are hiring a forest habitat specialist. So if you know of anybody, we definitely are looking. And then, yeah, that's our website there, and I believe Susie has all my contact information if there's any other questions that I can answer.